Hello friends, how are you? I hope you all are doing good. So hello and welcome to Learn with Hema's class. I am here with a new topic from class 9 ICSE board. It's from Treasure Chest, poem number 3, I Remember by Thomas Wood. So my dear students, this entire poem I shall be explaining it to you with all its details. Question answer session in the next video, or you can find the link in the description box as well. So I will be explaining you entirely right from the introduction of the poet to the poem with all its details. Stay tuned, and a small request like every time that if you are not a subscriber to my channel, please do subscribe my channel Learn with Hema, and also do share it with your friends. And if you really like the explanation, then please do not forget to hit the like button. Your any queries you can put up in the comment box there. Whenever I'll see it, I'll go through it. I'll try to answer you back as quickly as possible. So without any delay, shall we start? It's from the Treasure Chest text itself. I'll be reading it out and explaining it to you. It's going to be very simple and easy because this poem itself is very straightforward with very concrete words, direct words, straightforward words where the poet actually meant. So this entire poem, the write-up which is used over here, it's very simple, very clear. Though it has many implied meanings, but it's very simple. Even a common man can understand these words. So Thomas Hood, he was born on 23rd May 1799 and his death date is 3rd May 1845. He was an English poet born in London. Now, as I always say that you always have to read this box part, which is again very important. But rather than reading this entire part, I'll read only the last part, which is related to the poem. The rest is about the poet, which you can read it on your own. So this poem which Thomas Hood have written, this is basically, it tells us, it's a reflective poem, you can say. It tells us about the poet, that how he felt when he was a child and how he is feeling now when he is a grown-up person. So here there is a contrast between the childhood and the adulthood. A contrast has been shown by the poet himself. The speaker in the poem is the poet himself, that is Thomas Hood, and he recalls his childhood memories. When he visits the same place, he recollects his childhood memories, and it's very nostalgic. When I first went through the poem, I myself went into my childhood, like how I used to be so careless, like I was not worried of a single thing, and I used to run here and there. And it must be same with you all. But now as you grow, there are many responsibilities which are burdened on you. There are many things that you do which you may feel guilt at a later time, that oh, I have done this thing wrong. But in childhood we never think that oh, this is right, this is wrong. If this is right, we should do only this is wrong, we should not do like that. So childhood, that is a very innocent phase of life, and it's lovely. You should enjoy the maximum part of it. If you have your younger brothers and sisters who are very small, let them be themselves. Do not try to teach them. So let them enjoy their childhood. So many of us might have a complete memory. Some of them might not have a complete memory what they must be doing, but you must be definitely hearing them, all your mischievous things from your parents. Right. So let us start quickly. I remember by Thomas Hood. Whereas we start with the last part of the box, which is given in the poet over here. So it was first published in 1844, and the poet over here addresses the gloomy and uncertain childhood in the gloomy and uncertain adulthood in the light of a perfect childhood, and then makes the narrative universal, that is, it is applicable to all, it applies to all. That is, the childhood everyone have faced this childhood, and everyone is tend to become adult and face the worries and problems which are there in the adulthood. So the poet feels that the time passes by leaving only memories behind. Very true it is. The time passes and leaving memories behind. So every time you pass, you enjoy it to your fullest. Make the maximum of it. Try to make it the maximum of it. So starting from the first stanza, there are a total of 4 stanzas of equal lines and equal rhyming scheme. The rhyming scheme is A, B, C, B, D, E, F, E. This is the rhyming scheme. And the start of the poem is an anaphora. The poet over here has used anaphora. Anaphora, what it is anaphora? Anaphora is a repetition of a word or an expression at the beginning of successive phrases or clauses or sentences or verses, whatever it is. So whenever you begin a successive clause or phrase or any line or verse, before that there is a repetition of such as some pronouns such as I, we, you, he, they. So such kind of things are called as anaphora. So poet over here has started with anaphora, and this repetition is basically used for a rhetorical effect. So I remember the house where I was born, the little window where the sun came peeping in at morn. He never came a wink too soon, nor brought too long a day, but now I often wish the night had borne my breath away. So how this author Thomas Hood is reflecting his childhood. He is remembering, he is into that mood of his childhood, and he believes that at home when he was small, every morning the sun used to peep in at regular time. Every morning the sun had a fixed time to peep in, and with that sun rays I used to wake up, I used to play in the sunlight, daylight, and every day it was the same thing. The sun had its fixed time to come and its fixed time to go. Like he wants to tell that the nature is very disciplined and one should always follow a nature. So he remembers that thing, he recalls that thing, that the house where he was born when he was a small child, the house where he was born, he remembers that there in that house there was a small window through which the sun rays peeped in. Now hear this line, the little window where the sun came peeping it at morn. This can be taken as your personification, where the sun came peeping in at morn. Now sun is an inanimate, okay, an inanimate came peeping, that is he came peeping. This is an action which is being done by living beings, human beings. So human and a human attribute, a living being attribute is being given to a non-living thing, then that is called as personification. So this line is personification over here. And he tells us that how a sun or the nature works in punctuality. It never delays itself for any work, or it never too soon for it. It always works on time. It's never too late, never too early, on time. It gives us a message through the nature element that it has to be on time. And this part also, you can say, it creates an imagery. An imagery is created through this. So you imagine a house, a small window, sun rays peeping through it. So this is an imagery. You can say a visual imagery, right? But now I often wish the night had come, had borne my breath away. But now, at this age, when he is grown up, matured, adult, now he thinks, when he remembers that when in the morning sun used to come to wake him up and he used to play in the sun, and now he says that during that time only when I was a child, why my breath was not taken away, why I did not died in that innocence only. So now he is feeling very heavy. That time he was very innocent, now he is feeling very heavy. So why this heaviness is there, why I did not die at that time only. So this is about your first stanza, where his home, his bedroom, a window, sun rays, and every morning the sun rays, and his entire play in sun rays, very cheerful, very happy. At night properly sun sets, personifying the action of the sun that is coming and peeping. And then at last he thinks that why he did not die at that time only, when he was small, when he was innocent, when he had no worries. So this is about the first stanza. Second stanza, now I am reading it out. So in the first stanza we had only one figure of speech, that is personification. The first line is anaphora. Anaphora, that also you can take as a literary device. And the rhyming scheme of this is A, B, C, B, D, E, F, E. I hope you all know rhyming scheme. If you don't know how to find out the rhyming scheme, there is a video. I have put the link in the description box. You can check that. I remember, I remember. Now this is again, it starts with anaphora, the stanza. The same structure as of the first one. The roses, red and white, the violets and lily cups, those flowers made of light, the lilacs where the robin built and where my brother sat, the laburnum on his birthday, the tree is living yet. So here it's again an imagery is being created by different colorful flowers. How excited or what kind of excitement he was feeling when he was reflecting his time back, when he went in this memory lane of childhood. I remember the roses red and white. So now he remembers the plants, the flowers, whichever he had seen before, or he had been there at that place, or the garden, you can say, the forest, the area where he used to be. And here there is a mention that he also had a brother. So the flowers, the name of the flowers which are used, the roses are of different colors, red and white, the violets, these are all visual imagery, right? We can visualize these flowers, the violets and the lily cups, those flowers made of light. Now what do you mean by those flowers made of light? See, whenever we see a beautiful thing, we feel happy, there is a smile on our face. So whenever we see those flowers, very beautiful flowers, totally opened up, bloomed ones, we feel very happy, very energetic, very graceful. So very lively, energetic, and these flowers makes the poet very refreshing. So the memory also makes you very refreshing. Oh, what beautiful flowers that was. The lilacs where the robin built. Now these lilacs are again flowers, a tree where this white flower grows, blooms. The robin is a bird. Now this robin bird have built its nest on that flower. So he remembers that also. He remembers the flowers, the colors, the tree, and he remembers the nest also which the bird have built over there, and on which tree. And where my brother said the laburnum on his birthday. Now the laburnum tree his brother have planted on his birthday. So he remembers this past which he has shared it with his brother. And he's very happy to see that that tree is still there at its place, living. That is, it is still living, still growing. Now this line can convey two meanings. One meaning that the brother who have planted this tree is no more and he misses him, and that is also the one reason why he says that why his breath was not taken away. Maybe he's feeling lonely, he wants his childhood back. Then the other thing is that the tree is growing, the tree is living, but his age is decaying. He is growing old, weak. So this contrast also we can take over here. This implied meaning also we can take over here. So he remembers, he recalls all the different flowers, the beautiful colors which makes him energetic, lively. He also remembers the plant which he and his brother have planted together and on his brother's birthday, and the tree is living yet. That tree is living yet. There's an exclamation mark over here. Here, of course, imagery we can take. And now the third stanza. I remember where I was used to swing and thought the air must rush as fresh to swallows on the wing. My spirit flew in feathers then, that is so heavy now, and summer pools could hardly cool the fever on my brow. Very beautiful over here. He has mentioned a fact of life, I can say, that he recalls, the author, Thomas Hood, he recalls that when he was a child, maybe there was an activity which he used to do it regularly. He used to follow it regularly. For example, going to the gardens on a regular basis, playing over there. And he remembers that whenever he used to play on a swing, and when the swing used to go up and when it used to come down. So if you must have had gone through the swing, you have played on swing, you will see that when you go up it's fine, but when you come down you become very light. Your body becomes very light. So this is what he is trying to say, that where I was used to swing and thought the air must rush as fresh to swallows on the wing. So he feels so light as if he was a swallow on the wing. Swallow on the wing. That means he have feathers and he has become so light that he is flying. Okay, so he compares himself to a swallow, and this is here a figure of speech simile is being used, and thought the air must rush as fresh to swallows on the wing. My spirit flew in feathers then. He says, my spirits flew in feathers then. Now spirits, your spirits, energetic spirit you can say. So my spirit flew in feathers then. That means at that time my spirits were very light. I did not had any burden on my heart. It was very light and I used to fly. I used to fly means very easy, very cool. No burden, no tension, no stress, nothing. That time my spirits flew in feathers then. That is so heavy now. But that my spirit is so heavy now. My heart is so heavy. This heaviness can be for various reasons. The reasons may be the responsibilities, the wrongs, the rights, or whatever you have done in your life till now when you pass through this journey. So he says, my spirit flew in feathers then. So he is comparing the time now, then and now. So my spirits flew in feathers then, in childhood. It was very light, and that is so heavy now. My spirit is so heavy now. This can also be compared as, this can also be taken as metaphor. And summer pools could hardly cool the fever on my brow. And summer pools could hardly cool the fever on my brow. Means, at that time when I was a child, I enjoyed everything. Now when I am a grown up, I am burdened with so many things. Now I am sick. Now nothing can relieve me from this sickness, from this heaviness. Even the cool water of the pool cannot make me calm. It's when you feel heated up, you go to the pools, you take a dive, when you relax over there, you feel good as a child. But when you are grown up and you have so much of worries on your head, responsibilities and stress, tension of different work, whatever you are engaged in, so that creates tension. And many times, even if you try to enjoy yourself, those things come into your mind. This thing is pending, this has to be done that way, so and so and so many things are there. So the second last line of this stanza, that is, and summer pools could hardly cool. This is an assonance, example of assonance. What is an assonance? Assonance is a repetition of the vowel sound in the same line for a poetic effect. Okay, so summer pools could hardly cool. Pools and cool, these two words, because they sound, the vowels sound, repetition of sound of this vowel O, oo, you can say. So this is your assonance which is used over here. Then there is a simile, as I already said. The line is third line. The air must rush as fresh to swallows on the wing. This is your simile. Okay. Apart from there, no, there is no other thing. Now the fourth stanza, students. I remember the fir trees dark and high. I used to think their slender tops were close against the sky. It was a childish ignorance, but now it's little joy to know I am farther off from heaven than when I was a boy. Very beautifully said, well said, that when you are a child, you are very close to God. No matter, the sky is there only where it is. It's going to remain there only when you grow old. But when you are a child, you believe that these trees touch the sky, and sky means heaven, there the heaven is there. But as you grow old, you know now, you have become matured, and now you have gained knowledge also, and you know that the sky is far, far away. It's very, the heaven is very much farther away from here, what you used to think. So he says that as he grows old, as he grows adult, as he becomes an adult, as he grows old, as he matures, this innocence, he has lost it. And in that innocence, when he was a child, he used to believe that God is very near to him. But now that innocence is lost, and this is also known to him that God is very far away from him. So he misses that innocence. Thomas Hood over here misses that innocence, and he misses the innocence and closeness that he had once with the God when he was a child. So that is why he said, but now it is not that much joy, it is very little joy, because now I know that I am much farther away from heaven than when I was a boy. That means he clearly states that when I was a boy, when I was young, when I was a child, I was much closer to heaven, to God. But now when I have grown up and I know many things, many realities, many facts, now I know that I am farther away from the heaven, and he misses that innocence of a childhood. So in a way, this is a reflective poem. This is a diction also, you can say. So if we talk about the theme of the poem at the end, if we talk about the theme of the poem, it tells us clearly that one theme is nostalgia, or you can say innocence, childhood, and the second theme we can say is the fleeting of time, fleeting nature of time, that is, you can say. So childhood is there, and in childhood whatever you can enjoy, one can enjoy, one should enjoy that, so that you can have that memory and you can refresh yourself, be happy again. And the second is fleeting nature of time. That means whatever you have now in your hand, enjoy it to its fullest. You can remember it in the next time if it's a good time, but if it's a bad time, do not worry, it will pass away like every other time, and a new time will definitely comes, good time will always come. So fleeting nature of time, this is another theme over here. So this is all about the poem explanation. I'll end up over here. If there are any queries related to the poem, you can ask me in the comment box. Till then, thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.